Ladies and gentlemen, joining me right now are the two men that will be competing for the HEX welterweight championship, the current vacant title, Joseph Luciano and Jono Micallef. Boys, welcome.
Mitchell, thank you for having us today. Appreciate it.
Hey boys, hey Richie, thank you for having me. Great
Now,
to be on.
November 18th, Festival Hall. Out of the Melbourne Pavilion, you boys are both local boys. I'll start with you, Joseph. Do you know much about Festival Hall? Like, does it mean anything to compete there?
Yeah, Festival Hall's massive, man. Post war, it was like a bit of a meeting place for guys trying to get work with the painters and dockers, and then fight history wise, Lester Ellis and Barry Michaels had that bloodbath there. So yeah, it's got a bit of history, and I don't think there's been fights there for quite a number of years. Maybe some kickboxing in the early 2000s or something, but yeah, it's pretty sick, big venue, and fucking lucky to headline it. It's pretty cool.
And Jono?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't know much until I found out that I was going to be the main event there. But I've heard about the wrestling being shown there in the past. But Joey's just taught me a thing or two about the old Festival Hall.
Now, we'll start with the actual fight itself. Now, the main narrative going in, of course, and before you answer, Joey, is Joey Luciano ducking Matt Vale and Jono Micallef getting thrown in there. Now, I want to start with Jono to answer this one. Do you feel disrespected that just by like the public perception of you getting this fight and everyone was talking about Joey ducking Vale, essentially sort of assuming that you are an easier fight?
Nah, not at all, to be honest, man. The thing is here, you're going to have Matt. What I'm seeing a lot of is Matt Vale's guys who are all going, Matt Vale deserves a shot, and they're all pissed off. And look, I'm sure Joey has the same sort of people behind him that are saying, hey, like, and I do too, where my teammates and the people that I train with say, hey, Jono, if I can deserve this, and if it was to happen to me, it'd be the exact same thing, So, and the other thing is too, look, I've fought twice this year. Before the start of this year, I was only 2-0, so in the frame of a year, I've gone to 4-0. Only had 4 fights against dudes. In Joey fought nine times, which is obviously more than double. And you got Matt Vale, a lot more fights than that again. So do I feel disrespected? No. It's sort of just comes with the territory, yeah. And I'm sort of climbing my way up to get the respect, one fight at a time.
And Joey?
I think it's pretty disingenuous to Jono, actually. The dude's got big raps on him on the local scene, and his performance have proved that. And his last fight was excellent with Jack James, who everyone thought was the man coming up. And I think anyone that is disrespecting him or discounting him is not a real fan of the sport and not aware of what's going on down here. So the irrational Kiwi supporters, of course, they're Matt's boys, and you wouldn't expect anything less of your mates and your fans to go after some people for sure.
And Joey, did you know Jono was even, because you're in that special place of kind of maybe only being a couple away from the UFC. It was like maybe Vale, maybe the jump, maybe Vale, maybe another guy, then the jump. Did you think you and Jono Micallef would ever cross paths?
It's funny. Obviously, I'm so involved with the coaching with the lower level guys and the guys coming up, and because I'm so involved, I know pretty much all the amateurs in definitely in Victoria, and I've seen Jono come up for a couple of years, and he's fought a couple of the boys that I coach, and so it doesn't surprise me at all. He's making waves and doing good things. So yeah, it's funny how it all works out.
And Jono, same with you. I mean, can you talk us through? There's word that you were almost promised if you beat Jack James, you'd be in the title picture. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say as much as promised, but I was told if you get a nice finish, something nice for the camera, then then you're our guy. You've fought in HEX 3 times, 3 wins. That would have been the 3rd. So I if I hadn't been offered the title, I wouldn't have been up in the, pissing and sooking. But I do think that I was right about there.
Now, Joey was sort of locked up at the time in another bout in a land far, far away. But when it came to you heading into the title picture, who did you think they might have thrown up there with you?
Well, I think it was the day after I had fought in HEX, and I was just told, the guy is here, and you're going to be fighting for the title. And then I was like, who the fuck is he? So I was out and see, and I think I saw JJ Ambrose there, and I was like, and I saw a lot of other dudes
Fuck
there.
that guy.
He's number one.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, but no, Joey didn't actually come across my mind, because obviously I knew that fight was still to happen between him and Vale, and I thought that the winner of that fight will definitely get the jump, get the contract, and move on into the international scene.
And Joey, in terms of knowing all these fighters and whatnot, now that Jono Micallef is in front of you, is there anything that you think Jono does particularly well, or anything that you're looking to sort of exploit?
Look, he's a tall, dark, handsome, very gifted athlete. Obviously, with southpaws, they've got this eye, and they'll work angles very well that most orthodox fighters won't. So, I've got full respect for his abilities, and yeah, he's a long-rangey southpaw. What's more difficult than that to deal with?
And what do you think that you can exploit?
I reckon his left big toe looks a bit out of place, so we'll try and pounce on that for sure.
And Jono, same question to you.
Well, if you've watched Joey's fights in the past, he chose to try and wrestle. But I've also seen him in his wrestling to try. He sort of overexerts himself at times, and his gas tank doesn't seem to be the deepest. But I'll be sure to test that, and we'll find out.
Joey?
I'm all power, and yeah, I've got 30 seconds of power in me, so just an explosive athlete.
Australia comes at Chimaev.
Better looking though, mate. Better looking.
Yes, sir.
There's got to be a bit of correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, and I know that you'll make a joke out of this, but you are at the top, and Jono is the one coming up. Do you feel like there is pressure to take care of Jono quite convincingly?
People talk shit no matter what happens. I think for me, the important thing is always the win, and you can't focus on what other people think or say, or this is such a long and in-depth process. I've been through competing for so long and fighting all the time, and you can only do what you can do, if that makes sense. Like, if I worry about a million possibilities, you just end up doing your own head in. So I think it's just important to focus on you and do your own thing, and get impressive. What's more impressive than a W? Oh, cool. Yeah, I go for a highlight reel KO, or I go for a mad sub, or at this point, it's professional sport, right? And there is the entertainment aspect of it, but winning is everything. So a win means it all, and I'm not too concerned about what anyone else thinks, and I never have, and I probably never will really give a toss. So yeah.
And Jono, when you're coming up against a guy, now Absolute MMA is known around the country, but especially in Melbourne, when you come up against a gym with a really high pedigree, with great fighters, is there any sort of, not pressure, but is it more sort of intimidating?
I wouldn't say it's more intimidating. At the end of the day, how much more intimidating can a fight get? You got two guys when there's a big crowd around you, and you're going to go punch each other in the head and do whatever you can to break each other's will, or to obviously, or knock each other out. So it's not like there's any more pressure or anything along the lines of that. It's just everything outside of that's fluff, and it's always about the two in the cage. The two fighters.
For sure.
And this question is for both of you, and you both have different perspectives coming in. Joey, you've got almost like a stable full of high-level professional Australian fighters and international fighters. I mean, some of your teammates from the UFC fighting internationally. Jono, you're basically the first sort of title shot from the ground up. Where do you what type of pressure is that like? I'll start with you, Jono, of being sort of built from the ground up to sort of spearhead your gym. And then Joey, I'll give you some time to think about it. But that pressure of having such absolute MMA level fighters to sort of carry that on.
Right. I wouldn't say there's pressure being the first guy from the ground up from Sammy. I think I'm the first of many to come. I think that what we've got going on in the gym is there's something really special brewing, and obviously absolutely have done really great stuff across the world. But yeah, it's just like I really believe in myself, and I believe in what we're doing at the moment, and I really do believe it's going to show come November 18th. But at the same time, I think it's so cool. How good is it that the first time in history that there's been two guys out of Melbourne, born and bred and raised in Melbourne, to fight for a title? There's no fly-ins, there's no one interstate. It's like two Melbourne guys. And I think that just goes to show that there's some real special stuff happening in Melbourne at the moment. And Absolute's been doing it for a while, but there's other teams and guys coming up that are about to make that jump.
And Joe?
It's funny, Mitch, when you talk about pressure and all of that thing. I've said this before in interviews with yourself and some better podcast people as well. But the pressure that we as fighters put on ourselves is so immense that anyone that adds some pressure onto that, it's like a feather on top of a brick. It's no weight at all. So, the pressure I deal with daily and enjoy and thrive off is just consistent. And, we've got guys in the UFC or got guys fighting in one or stuff like that. That's irrelevant, because every day I look to succeed and have that burden on my shoulders. And it's a beautiful burden to carry. And it's something that has defined me as a person and as a man. And I like that pressure, and I don't feel like me without it. So having external pressure is nothing compared to the internal pressure that I have and enjoy and I'm lucky enough to have. I'm not a plumber anymore, and I'm not a Sparky anymore, and I get to do this, and it's a choice. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
We talk about day jobs as a perfect segue, Mr. Luciano. Mr. Micallef, when it comes to working and managing your dream, how's that all working out for you?
Just like fighting in general, it's tough. You have your days where you're beat training and you got to go to work and beat the body up a little bit more and lift shit and move stuff and fucking be a tradie. But at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to being able to do it both and do them both well for now, and until you can just do one and completely focus your time on that. But I still think that working with my dad, he's a little bit flexible and allows me to, in times like this where I'm in such a big fight and there's all the pressure and stuff, as Joey was saying, I can alleviate that a little bit, and I'm not spread too thin.
Do you think it gives Joey the upper hand though, that he gets to train full time?
100%.
Whoa. How do you know I'm not out on the tools still, you motherfucker? Fuck you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
It 100% is. And I look forward to having that advantage sometime in the future. But for now, I'm still making a name for myself before I can do that.
Hey, Joey, are you still on the tools?
Yeah, I get out and move some air cons around and do all that shit still. And as Jono knows, this shit's fucking hard, and trying to make some money and live and chase the dream and all of that, sometimes you got to do the hard yards. But it's a privilege to be able to live this life. It really is.
Now, Joey, you've been here before. You've been here for a long time. As Jono is
Talking
really
to you or in general?
in general. No, here as well. When it comes to like Jono sort of stepping now into the spotlight, because win, lose, or draw, everyone will know Jono's name if they didn't already. Do you have any advice for Jono?
You only have a set amount of time you can do this. And your athletic career is astonishingly short in the grand scheme of things. Don't let that pass you by. Risk it all, shoot from the hip, and you'll never be left wondering, I think. I'd say that to any of my guys. And like, it's great. Jono and I are gonna get to have a fucking real stoush, but I know the position he's in. He knows the position I'm in as men and as athletes, and there is a beauty in that. And the honor, you can't do it without an honored opponent, right? So, yeah, thank you for stepping up, and it's going to be fucking great, man.
Jono, any response?
Yeah, that's good. I'll definitely take that on board. Thank you, Joey.
Now, before I let you boys get out of here, I just kind of wanted to ask your prediction on how you think the fight's going to go, starting with Jono. Is it going to be a war, or are you getting in and out?
I don't think I'm going to get in and out. Joey's too tough. Joey's too good. But I can guarantee you that I'm going to be looking for a finish every minute of the fight. When it comes to the 5th minute of the 5th round, if it does get to there, I'm going to be explosive. I'm going to be trying to do everything I can to take him out.
Joe?
Spinning wheel kick, TKO, back fist, first round. I think the beauty of what I do is I will try and finish a fight and take it where I want and impose my will and maybe gas out doing it, apparently, Jono. But I think, all due respect to Jono, he's got big nuts and he's got a big ticker, and it's going to be a fantastic fight. On the local scene, I haven't had to show any of my ticker or my nuts. I've sort of been able to walk through the guys pretty easily. So who knows, maybe we'll get to see some big Luciano balls. Maybe we won't, but it's going to be a great fight, and I've got a good opponent in front of me, and that makes me very happy always.
Well, boys, thank you so much for joining us. November 18th, Festival Hall, HEX Fight Series 28. You guys fight for the HEX welterweight vacant title. Jono Micallef taking on Joseph Luciano. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you for the time, Mitch.